Welcome back. The Ministry of Health has made good on its promise of providing 24-hour security at the Dennery Hospital. This after a bloody domestic dispute spilled out in the hallway of the facility on the 6th of February. The male involved in the dispute attacked the female, sending patients and staff scurrying for safety.
In keeping with a pronouncement by our Minister, Honorable Alvina Reynolds, security measures have been put in place. They were put in place immediately. We now have 24-hour security, armed security, 2 shifts, a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift and a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. And I also wish to say that we have received word from both our clients and staff in particular that they are very happy, very grateful for the intervention that is due to them really, and that they do feel a lot more secure.
The World Health Organization, the WHO, has acknowledged that climate change affects the social and environmental determinants of health, including clean air, safe drinking water, sufficient food, and secure shelter. To this end, the Ministry of Health, Wellness, Human Services and Gender Relations, through the Department of Environmental Health and the Bureau of Health Education, received a presentation conducted by Crispin Dovey, the Chief Sustainable Development Officer in the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Energy, Science and Technology on climate change and the emerging issues. Mr. Dovey said the presentation was intended to share with senior officials some of the key issues to be discussed at a conference in Paris with respect to climate change negotiations ahead of the new global agreement on climate change.
The intention really is to share with senior officials of the Ministry of Health exactly what are the issues, some of the key issues to be discussed with respect to the climate change negotiations as we move towards a new global agreement on climate change. Because about 3 years ago, the global community agreed that we should have a new agreement on climate change, which would be all-encompassing and should lay a framework for effectively controlling the phenomenon of climate change, because as you know, climate change is a threat to global sustainable development. And so as we've been negotiating over the years, it has been a complex negotiation. And as we head to Paris, there are still many issues to be resolved.
Mr. Dovey stated that St. Lucia does not contribute much to the global climate change problem, but however, it is one of the major victims as a small island developing state.
Because first of all, with the more intense extreme events that we're experiencing, hurricanes and so on, our health infrastructure is at risk. Also, vector-borne diseases, for example, the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads dengue, with increased temperatures, its prevalence is more widespread, and also the incubation period for the dengue, the mosquito is actually shorter. So in theory, or at least in practice, what you have is smaller mosquitoes, but more of them and more to bite you and more possibility of transmitting dengue and other related diseases.
When Gabriel, the Chief Environmental Health Officer, says that the importance of stakeholders being involved in the discussion cannot be underscored more.
From the farmer to the fisherman, all productive sectors of the society, because it really can. The impact of climate change is so profound. In fact, there are persons who are scientists that are projecting that if the trends in terms of emissions are not reversed, you could get parts of the world that are inhabited today disappearing. You know, we are small island states, and therefore the impact of those changes could be severe for us. So we need to understand how they will impact us. We need to understand our role in the world in terms of how we can mitigate the impacts of climate change, and also how we can, as small countries, bind together to be a more powerful voice with respect to issues pertaining to climate change.
Mr. Gabriel reiterated St. Lucia's vulnerability, informing that over the years there has been an increase in vector-borne diseases.
From 2010, we have had a number of outbreaks of vector-borne diseases. We've had bouts of dengue fever, we've had epidemics of chikungunya, an epidemic of chikungunya, and we have seen an increase in the incidence of leptospirosis. All these diseases we know can be a result. They are associated with the changes that are happening in our global climate. It is well known that as the planet gets hotter, the vectors like mosquitoes, rodents, and so on will proliferate. Not only that, they will multiply quicker. Their lifespans, their productive cycles will become shorter. So you'll find that they will be producing more pests within a shorter period. And therefore, the population of these pests will be greater. And therefore, the diseases they transmit, you expect an increase in them. On other fronts, I mean, let us look at the area of water production, drinking water production. This could be affected directly by climate change in terms of droughts. You could have droughts, as well as you could have natural disasters like hurricanes, which again impact our water supply. It impacts our ecosystem, our forestry, our fisheries, and so on. So in all these ways, climate change is an important issue for us. And
the 21st Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is scheduled for Paris, France in December 2015.